Welcome back to the Big Small Business Show. And we have Kumaran Padiyachi in studio today, and we're having a long conversation about making better decisions, better quality decisions. You know, we were just talking about the quality of decision, and you said you'd seen a quote.
I remember the quote. You were talking about if someone was right previously by luck and it was poor logic,
Yeah.
and it gave them a false sense of confidence and to carry on making it, I've done it before, not to worry. It reminded me of a quote by Bill Gates. I'll read it here. He says, "Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose."
Very nice. Yeah. So I want to talk about the opposite of that as well, because I particularly work with entrepreneurs that are in that early phase, that are in about to scale or are scaling. And very often they're in environments where they're completely out of their depth. There's so much that they don't know about either running a business that size, or the complexities that come with it, or the new markets that they are being enticed to go in, which have got all different dynamics and rules. So, you know, there's also that, there's the overconfidence, but there's also having to make decisions. And as you and I both know, that there's a point always in our journey where we just have to call it. And we have to make a decision at that point without the time or the luxury of going to go and think like Rodin and about these decisions.
So Jeff Bezos, Amazon founder, he came up with these rules for his organization. May not be relevant for anyone else, but he talks about the speed of a decision if it can be reversed or it's inconsequential, versus those that have huge impact slowing. So we also got to be able to triage. When you go to an ER room, emergency room, they look at gunshot wound or headache, which one goes in first, you know what I mean? And so we must be able to look at the consequence of these decisions and be able to, certain one of them, we shouldn't oversweat it.
Yeah.
If we get it wrong, we're going to learn something from it. But you talked about the opposite side, meaning someone is not so confident about that. And, confidence builds from taking action and doing things and surviving the failure and still saying, well, I'm okay, and it builds on. I would urge, that watch our language to ourselves, because if we, in that situation, that earlier phase entrepreneur, sometimes what goes on is like, I'm not good at this. And that labeling now, I hate that, because if you got a technical person that has that leaning in a business and he says, I'm not good at sales, that's not for me. That may be true from the past, but it doesn't have to be true going forward. Now, if you say that, you're not going to flip and try, so we got that those early starting language things is important. To just say, okay, you know what, I haven't been good at it, but this is what's required in my environment now. I better buck up and study up and figure it out and what have you.
Take it on.
And take it on. Because in these decisions, there's a knowledge gap. But if you start saying, I don't know, you're not going to seek out to ask a friend, ask a colleague, ask someone, read the book, because you're like, I'm not good at that. And then that doesn't build confidence.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, I find also there's an extreme to that. And for me, a big part of when I look to invest in entrepreneurs is, can you make a decision? The quality is the one side of it, but the quantity and the ability to do it in, when somebody's, pointing a gun at you and, and you've got a knife on the other side, we always feel threatened, is the ability to make the decision is also important.
In part of our assessment around the jockey, when we're deciding to fund a business, that's one element, the entrepreneur behind it. There's various things we assess of them. One of that is what we call ability to make the hard calls. Because if you're going through a tougher environment, or some decisions require those tough calls, if you don't have the cojones or whatever it is for it, or the...
I want to pick up, you've picked up on something very good there, which is a type of decision, which is an unpopular decision.
Yes.
Okay, especially internally. Okay. That to me, that kahunas thing about making tough decisions where you might have to retrench, or you're going to close down a branch, or
fire a customer.
It's exactly. those are tough decisions, and if the entrepreneur can make those decisions, yeah,
it comes back to my opening thing at the beginning. Is like we've got to know ourselves first.
Yeah,
isn't it?
But they don't. But my general sense, and I don't know about it, is they don't make the right decision. The decision is generally the more popular decision to make, and not the right decision for the business. Yeah. It's more about their short-term popularity and how they feel about themselves, that they don't feel bad. But the unintended consequence is everyone's going to lose their job in 6 months or a year's time as a result of not making that tough decision.
Mm.
OODA loop. I think it's John Boyd, Colonel John Boyd, spoke about the military, the dogfights, the OODA loop. And what he found is planes that were able to do a loop quicker had generally won a dogfight. Okay.
Yeah, but you're talking about different decision-making constructs here, and using an example, a world-famous example.
Yeah. So that is about the.
Explain what OODA is.
Okay. So that's about the number of decisions you can make in a given period. That's the loops, and it stands for observe, orientate, decide, and act. Observe, orientate, decide, and act. And that last piece, act, is to do something. Because we go, oh, there's a problem here. Orientate, okay, we need to do this. The decision, and then we do nothing. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to make a decision to take a break now. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the relationship between taking action after the decision. We'll be right back.